Are you looking for a great alternative to MidJourney? In this video, I go through 16 competitors, and what I'll be doing is trialing 3 different prompts, 3 different reference images, and see how it looks in all 16 products. And we're going to use 3 images that I've used in the past. I've created these in MidJourney. I've used them in my videos. And with each of them, we're going to run them through the 16 AI art generators. We are going to need a prompt. So what I thought I'd do is take each of the individual images and we'll drag them straight into DALL-E 3. Once they're in DALL-E 3, we can actually ask DALL-E 3 to tell us what the image is about. But I'll give it a little bit extra context by giving it the original MidJourney prompt as well. And then when we run it through DALL-E 3, we get a prompt like this. So in this particular case, it's create an animated illustration of a smiling 30-year-old blonde man with eyeglasses. And then a bit later on, it says, the style should be similar to modern animated illustrations with a clean and simple design. And what we'll do is we'll take that prompt and the reference image, and we're just going to run it through all 16 AI art generators. So the first 2 we'll look at is Night Cafe and Ideogram. Now, Night Cafe has a nice clean user interface where you can select different styles, whereas Ideogram is really good at doing symbolic art and ideograms. We've got 2 images here. They're looking pretty clean to me. Next, we'll look at OpenArt and DesignsAI. So OpenArt has the ability to use multiple models. I think it has something like 100 different models that you can use. DesignsAI can be used for images, but it can also be used for logos and videos as well. Next 2 are BlueWillow, which is by LimeWire, and Adobe Firefly. They're both producing really great images. We would expect that from Adobe, but this BlueWillow product is also pretty good. I better mention too that with Adobe Firefly, it's like Canva, so you have the ability to do a lot of other design tooling with that product. And that then brings us on to Fotor and Craiyon. And Fotor is an interesting one because it's a graphics editing software. And their implementation of generative art is pretty good, I think. Then we've got Craiyon, which I had a lot of trouble trying to get good images from it. So this is the first time we've come across an AI art generator that wouldn't compare to MidJourney, but everything else has been pretty good so far. Next, we have Dream Studio and Imagine. And Dream Studio has the ability to have multiple models as well that you can select from. And Imagine Art is a detailed illustration tool. Both of these are producing great images. Next, we're looking at Playground and Hotpot. Now, Playground has advanced editing features, while Hotpot also has some editing capabilities. One of the things I noticed with this particular image is that, to me, it didn't feel like the illustration style that was described in the prompt, but they're still great images. The next 2 to look at is Lexica and Microsoft Copilot. And Lexica in the past has been an AI art search engine. It's a great place to get inspiration, but they also have creation tools. And we've used them here, and this is a tool I do want to deep dive into, and there will be a video on that. As for Microsoft Copilot, it's essentially DALL-E 3. So whatever you're doing in ChatGPT, you can do here as well. The last 2 in the list are worlds apart. So we've got LeonardoAI and Diffusion Bee. Now, LeonardoAI has a lot of advanced tooling and creativity that you can do within it. Diffusion Bee, on the other hand, is a local computer implementation. So in my case, it's running on the Mac and it uses Stable Diffusion. And I wasn't really able to get any good images out of this particular model. So for the prompt of the 30-year-old man, creative, animated illustration, we've got 16 different variations here, and there are plenty of great contenders to go up against MidJourney in this particular case. What we'll do now is we'll move on to the next reference image, and I'll give you a little bit more detail about each of these applications as we go. We'll start by dragging the reference image over into DALL-E 3. We'll also use the original prompt from MidJourney, which had things like the style raw stylized 500. Now, this won't be able to be used effectively in the other art generators. So the generation of the prompt is here. Create a realistic illustration of a woman in her 30s shown in side profile. And we got all that information, and this is what we're going to feed into the 16 AI art generators. Moving over to the final overview with this reference image, we've again got a lot of great examples. Now, if there's a particular tool that you want me to do a deep dive in, let me know. Now, I am going to do a 2 or 3 minute video on pretty much everything that's here, but there are a couple here that I'm going to use professionally with my YouTube videos, and they're the ones that I'm going to deep dive into. So let me know which ones you're interested in and I'll do a video on them. Now, the first example we got here is Night Cafe and Ideogram, and both images are pretty good in my opinion. Let's talk a little bit about Night Cafe. This tool, you can use Stable Diffusion or DALL-E 3. You've also got access to print on demand and can select different art styles. I'll tell you more about Ideogram when we look at the third reference image, but moving on, we can look at OpenArt and DesignsAI. We've got interesting styles. Maybe the one from DesignsAI isn't as good as the MidJourney one, but the OpenArt one is quite impressive. The thing about this particular tool is that apart from image generation, it's pretty good with anime characters, and it's also got an image upscaler. Moving on to BlueWillow and Adobe Firefly. BlueWillow is great as a tool. It has many different styles that you can work from. It's got some tools like background removers, blurs, 3D models, and one of its key advantages is that it's quick at generating images. Let's now have a look at Fotor and Craiyon. Now, Craiyon, like before, doesn't really do a great job of generating images, but Fotor is really interesting because not only is it generating a good image, but it's a really powerful tool. So we've got photo enhancement like upscaling, background removal, in painting. It's also got realistic human face generation, so it can do things like skin tones, hair, accessories, those sorts of features, which are really hard to do with general tools like MidJourney. It's got all the different styles of art that you might want to do, which you would expect from a lot of the image generations, but it can also do transforms from one style to another. Overall, if you want image generation, but you also want image editing, this might be a great tool to look at. Moving on to Dream Studio and Imagine, we've got good images being generated based on the prompt. Let's talk about Dream Studio. It's by Stability AI using the Stable Diffusion model. Now it's got all your text to image sort of capabilities. It can also do image to image, so you can take an image and alter it. And it's got capabilities like image upscaling. Looking now at Playground and Hotpot. So in this case, the images are pretty good. The Playground has this really nice user interface and a very generous usage limit on a daily basis. It uses different models. It's got various tools and customizations, and you can also do image combinations, combining images together. Moving on to Lexica and Microsoft Copilot. So Microsoft Copilot, which is DALL-E 3, we're showing that here. Lexica is a search engine. Now it's got image generation tools. It's got a lot of ability to customize things and look at the history of images and adapt them over time. Moving on to the last two for the Japanese girl, we've got LeonardoAI and Diffusion Bee. And at this point, I was nearly giving up on Diffusion Bee. But Leonardo is an incredibly powerful image generation and AI generation tool. You've got capabilities like in-painting, out-painting, and magic erasers. You've got ControlNet, which gives intricate image guidance. And the real-time canvas allows you to make modifications to the image quickly and easily. Now moving on to our last reference image, which is the lion coming out of the clouds. Now you might have noticed in the last section that I talked a little bit more in detail about each of the image generators, but I only did one of them. Now I'll do the other half in this section. So with the image, we've dragged it into DALL-E 3. The original prompt was actually quite simple. It was an an angel lion emerging from ash. But with the image being dragged into DALL-E 3, what we finally get is an illustration of a lion with angelic wings emerging from a cloud of ash. So this is the prompt we're going to use for the 16 generators. So moving on to Night Cafe and Ideogram. In this particular case, I really love the image that Ideogram has created. Night Cafe is not too bad. Now, the thing about Ideogram is it's a powerful tool. It's designed for both amateurs and professionals. It's got preset image styles, 3D rendering, it's got community engagement and all the sort of options editing that you would like to do. But additionally, it's got a diverse range of visual elements and icons. And the other thing that you can do with it is work with text. So you can combine text, fonts, colors, and different styles with the generation. So let's have a look at OpenArt and DesignsAI. We've got pretty good images going on here. DesignsAI is an interesting tool. Developed by the Imagine group, it's got a bunch of makers. So it's got a text, it's got a logo maker, a video maker, design maker, and speech maker. So something like the speech maker can be used for voiceovers. The other thing it's got are these pairers. So it's got font pairer and color matcher. So an interesting range of tools with this particular product. Next, we'll look at BlueWillow and Adobe Firefly. We've got two great images going on here. Now, Adobe's going to be a really powerful tool moving forward. So I guess its main competitor is Canva, but it has the ability to integrate into the rest of the Adobe products. One of the things it's got is this ethical AI. So it's all trained on images that it has the rights to. And then being a design tool, it has generative fill and expand. You can also do vector graphics with it. Move on to Fotor and Craiyon. Now, Craiyon has been a tool that I didn't get a lot of success out of it, but it might still be a useful tool for you to use for these reasons. It is a free tool and it has prompt predictions and suggestions. And with a little bit of work, you can get an image close to what you might want. Next, we'll look at Dream Studio and MidJourney, and they're both producing great images. Now, MidJourney is a pretty powerful tool. It's got different styles, image remixing, and advanced configuration. It can also do background removal and in-painting. Now, we're looking at Playground and Hotpot again, and these are now becoming leading contenders for myself. But let's talk a little bit about Hotpot. So it's quite a versatile tool that you can use for image generation, but you can also use it for photo editing, headshots, and avatars. One of the other things it can do is text writing. So you can use it for your brainstorming and copywriting. And like tools like Canva or Firefly, it has templates that you can customize for social media. Moving on to Lexica and Microsoft Copilot. The Lexica image is really good. The Microsoft Copilot for me is something that you would use just the same way as you would use DALL-E 3 within ChatGPT. Now, if you're using Microsoft Copilot, you might not want to go any further than this. And if you really want to see a great set of examples of MidJourney versus what Microsoft Copilot could do, you could check out the video that I've did last year where I did 400 images, 50 prompts, 4 images per prompt for MidJourney and 4 images per prompt for DALL-E 3, where you can get a good side-by-side comparison between these two different products. And for the last two, LeonardoAI and Diffusion Bee. So the Leonardo image is pretty good. The Diffusion Bee, the thing about this tool is that this image that's done is okay. And it's free, it runs on your computer. So you have a lot of capability to produce images, but it doesn't necessarily create the best results. But some of the tools that are built into it include inpainting, outpainting, and upscaling, and you can plug different models in. So if you know what you're doing, you might be able to get this to a much higher level of capability and just run it locally on your Mac computer in the case of Diffusion Bee. For Windows, I'm sure there's a tool that does something very similar. So there's 16 great examples of the lion coming out of the ashes. We got the lady in her house, Japanese style, and we got the man in his 30s, yellow background, illustration style. Now, if there's any image generator that you want me to explore, put a comment down below. Otherwise, like and subscribe. And I've got more videos in the playlist here on image generation.